Hello there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. On behalf of the News First, the voice of the people, I'm Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon.
Was an approval granted for the China-Sri Lanka joint venture project in the Tissa Maharama River. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa places 6 public issues before the president. Prisoners at the Walikada and Mahara prison hold protest. Who is putting up a fence at the Potuville beach? Imported rice affects the price of local paddy.
Now those stories in detail. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa today highlighted 6 main issues faced by the general public of the country and said that he expects the president to address these issues when the president speaks to the nation tonight.
විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ රටේ සමස්ත ජනයා මුහුණ දෙන බරපතල ගැටලු 6කට විසඳුම් ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ ප්‍රකාශයෙන් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
We expect solutions to 6 main issues faced by the general public when the president addresses the nation tonight. The fuel price hike has caused serious issues in all classes of the society. We expect that the president during his address would announce that the fuel prices will be reduced to its previous price range. All farmers have been affected by the lack of fertilizer in the country. We expect the president to announce a proper program on the transition from chemical to organic fertilizer in the country. We also hope that the president will make a pledge to provide adequate fertilizer to all farmers this season and in seasons to come. Fishermen in Sri Lanka have been severely affected by the Express Pearl disaster. This incident has also caused massive damage to the environment in a manner that no one expected. We hope that the president in his address would provide adequate concessions to the fishermen in the country. We also hope that the president would announce a sustainable program to restore the environment that was damaged by this disaster. Students in Sri Lanka are facing many issues in accessing online educational platforms. Some children have to even climb atop mountains in search of reception to access online education. These students also do not have the required technology to access online education. They do not have tabs, computers, laptops or even smartphones. We hope that the government would focus their attention on this issue and allocate money to provide these facilities instead of spending money on pointless projects. It is already too late, but we hope that a swift solution to this issue will be presented by the president during his address. State intervention in managing the COVID-19 pandemic is at a very low level. 600,000 people in this country are helpless without the AstraZeneca vaccine. Also, the government's vaccination program, under which 16 million people were supposed to be vaccinated, is lagging behind. There is a massive shortage of personal protection equipment provided to officials in the health sector and other public services. There is a shortage of life-saving equipment at hospitals. Also, we see that the number of PCR tests conducted in the country are rapidly being reduced. This must not be done. We need to at least learn this lesson during the 3rd wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. We need to conduct a higher number of PCR tests in the country. We also expect the president to provide solutions to this issue as well. Also, all people of our country are suffering economically. Judging by the gravity of the situation, no one will be satisfied with a meager sum of 5,000 rupees as an allowance. We expect that the president in his address will announce a proper mechanism where the economies of our citizens can be lifted. We hope that the president will provide proper, real and sustainable solutions to these issues that are plaguing the people of this country.
මේ ප්‍රශ්නය තුළ අපි කිසිම කෙනෙකුට 5000ක සොච්චමක් ලබා දීලා සෑහීමකට පත්වන්නට බෑ. ඒ නිසා මේ කඩාවැටුණු ජීවිත ගොඩනගන්නට මේ රජය විශේෂයෙන්ම ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ ප්‍රකාශය තුළින් ජනතාවට සහනයක් වන මූල්‍ය ශක්තියක් ලබා දෙන්නට කටයුතු කරයි කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා. මේ කරුණු 6ට ස්ථිරසාර සත්‍යවාදී විසඳුම් ලැබෙයි කියලා අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
The government has decided to temporarily suspend the importation of both chemical and organic fertilizer. Director General of Agriculture Dr. M.W. Veerkon, speaking to Newsfirst, said the decision was made as local organic fertilizer production had increased. Earlier, the Cabinet of Ministers had decided to import organic fertilizer for local agriculture purposes. Meanwhile, the farmers who have been seeking a solution for the shortage of fertilizer have now sought divine help to resolve this issue.
පොහොර බීජ මිල අහස උසයි පොහොර සහනයක් කැපුවා ගොවියගේ ගොවිකම් කරුවන් උණ්ඩ විසයි මඩ සෝදාගත් කල ගොවියා රජින්දකි පල්වරු කියමින් දහම් දෙසයි බේගල් පවසාදයන් කිසි විනකමකා ලක්වැයි උදහසට ඒ බොරු කියන එකා ගොවිතන පාලු කරමේ රට කාපු එකා
Farmers who had been protesting for the past few days demanding for a solution to the fertilizer problem pleaded with the gods today. This plea was made at a paddy field belonging to the Aralaganwila Pansiyatuna Bedum Ela Farmers Association in Polonnaruwa.
It has been 6 months since we cultivated this paddy and the plant doesn't grow beyond 6 inches due to the lack of fertilizer. Will we be able to get a reasonable amount of income with organic fertilizer? They are trying to hinder farming. If a road is being constructed, a temporary road must be there for the farmers to travel, but the government did not provide a substitute road. This is not practical, they might say, but it is the farmers who will have to do it. We need fertilizer for paddy, or the rice imported from abroad grown out of compost fertilizer. What will the authorities do when the people get sick after consuming that rice?
Meanwhile, the Department of Archaeology has confirmed that permission was not obtained for the Chinese joint venture to dredge and clean up the Tissa Maharama River, said to have been constructed in the 3rd century BC by a Sri Lankan king. The Director General of Archaeology, Senior Professor Anura Manatunga, said personnel from the Department of Archaeology were deployed to the site for inspection. We will have more details on this particular story later on the bulletin. Meanwhile, protests against the recent hike in fuel prices were staged across several areas in the country today as well.
The Janata Vimukti Peramana staged a protest in Kumurupitiya against the recent fuel price hike and several other issues directly impacting the lives of the people in the country. MPs of the opposition faction attended the monthly council session of the council today. The group of MPs staged a protest opposite the Provincial Council office. Another protest was launched by the Samagijana Balavegya in Middeniya earlier today.
Agrarian association leaders in Kantale, where farmers have begun to reap their harvest, point out that the government's decision to import rice has triggered a drop in prices for their harvest.
The farmers point out that the price of a sack of rice has slumped by about 1,600 rupees from its previous price.
Our income has been affected by the decision to import rice at this time. The rice mill owners will be getting all the benefit from this situation. They will purchase paddy from us at a very cheap price. Then they sell these stocks when they want to. They can't understand that. The harvest of fields in Kantale will be collected in a few days. The rulers of the country have only now recognized the issue with the price of the rice in the country. We are left helpless because of this ad hoc and illogical decisions. The people dressed in full suit who made this decision should be placed in our fields as scarecrows to ward off birds. They are doing this to line pockets of the ministers through commissions from rice mill owners. The people in the country who took these decisions must be fed with animal fodder. The people's lives have gone from bad to worse. The gods above must be looking at the way that these people are ruling the country.
විශේෂයෙන් අපි අපේ රටේ ජනාධිපතිතුමාට කියනවා ආයේ පරණ හැලි කියවන්න යන්න එපා. මොකද රට ජාති ආගම ආරක්ෂා කරනවා කියලා.
We would like to ask the president not to talk about old stories. It is all right if you do not say that you will protect all religions and races of this country. You don't have to say that. There is a law. Don't even tell the people that we are the ones who did it the best. The people of this country are fed up of listening to this. Even though you address the country only once, the people of the country always address you. We know that all of them don't need these stories about religions and races of this country. If you can, please let us know. Are there people wearing Chinese military uniforms and dredging the Tissa Maharama River or not? When you sell the country part by part on one side and China is entering the country on the other, then there is India that is surveilling us through drones circling around our country. As the President and as the Chief of the Defence Staff, as the Minister of Defence, tell us, what is your stance? Also, it is clear to the people that you are not implementing and protecting the one country, one law concept. Especially, there is one law for powerful people who are with you, and a different law for the common man. The people of this country are aware of this. Without giving us dates on when the country would be opening and closing, give us a clear date on when the COVID-19 pandemic will be eradicated in the country. If not, give it to someone who can do it and leave. The farmers of the country are on the road. Honorable President, please tell us when will you give the fertilizer to our farmers? According to the President, the fertilizer stocks are hidden by companies. It is immaterial to the people of the country. There is no point of you telling the people that there are those who engage in conspiracies. Please let us know on a clear date when fertilizer will be available to the farmers and how they can obtain it.
මේ ඔන්ලයින් වසංගතය වෙනුවට ජනතාවගේ දරුවන්ට අධ්‍යාපනය ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන් සාධාරණ ක්‍රමය හදලා දෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා.
Meanwhile, the Department of Archaeology has confirmed that permission was not obtained for the Chinese joint venture to dredge and clean up the Tissa Maharama River, said to have been constructed in the 3rd century BC by a Sri Lankan king. The Director General of Archaeology, Senior Professor Anura Manatunga, said personnel from the Department of Archaeology were deployed to the site for inspection.
When carrying out conservation activities in Sri Lanka, it is mandatory to obtain our approval. But if you look at it in general, for irrigation-related projects, they have not sought our approval for a long time. If that is to be carried out in a legal manner, they should obtain our approval. We have therefore informed all departments, including the irrigation department, to inform us and obtain an impact assessment report if they are digging a river. This has not happened at the location in question. We have informed them to seek an approval from the Department of Archaeology and to do the project accordingly. Our officers have inspected this. They will go to the location as well. The river has a unique archaeological value. We will consider that as well. We are not saying this because we don't want this done. This river is an invaluable resource to our nation. It is believed that the Tissa Maharama River was built during the reign of King Yatala Tissa, who ruled the kingdom of Ruhuna, or his uncle King Devanampiya Tissa, who ruled the kingdom of Anuradhapura. The Tissa Maharama River is a unique attraction to the area and is one of the tanks that boasts of Sri Lanka's great irrigation history. Recently, a Chinese joint venture commenced a project to dredge and clean up the Tissa Maharama River, and it led to serious controversy following the sighting of camouflage-clad personnel at the site. The uniforms worn by the Chinese personnel were similar to those worn by the Chinese People Liberation Army. The project to clean the Tissa Maharama River in Hambantota was launched on the 20th of this month under the Irrigation Prosperity or Vari Saubhagya program. The event was attended by the subject minister.
Now, why is Basil Rajapaksa considered the only solution for the people's problems? The Janata Vimukti Peramuna questioned the government regarding this matter at a press briefing held this morning.
Amidst all the turmoil, the latest topic is the return of Basil Rajapaksa. It is said that he might enter parliament as well. They think that he's the one who will bring solutions to all these problems. We were told all this time that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa was the solution. Before that, it was Mahinda Rajapaksa who will solve everything. Now they say that it is Basil Rajapaksa who will solve everything. They make it seem like the reason behind all the turmoil in this country is his absence, and that he will take matters into his hands and solve the prevailing issues. What is this joke? This family presents one by one its members as a solution. When one fails, another one replaces him. Is it only the Rajapaksas this country have? Is it only them this nation has? When will they realize that there are no magicians to solve the problems in this country?
එතකොට මේ රටේ රාජපක්ෂවරු විතරද ඉන්නේ? මේ රටට වැඩක් කරන්න පුළුවන් අය ඉන්නේ එච්චරද? කවදාද මේගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් ගන්නේ මේ ප්‍රශ්න විසඳන්න මෙතන මේ මැජික් කාරයෝ කවුරුවත් නැහැ.
Meanwhile, the protest launched by a group of inmates on the roof of a building in Valikada prison is still underway.
A group of death row inmates launched a hunger strike demanding their death sentences to be commuted to life in prison with effect from the day that they were sentenced. Several death row inmates at the Mahara and Valikada prisons have been on a hunger strike since last afternoon.
Now, a person who was clearing mangrove land in the Kuda Kali area in Pothuwil was arrested by the forest conservation officers yesterday.
The Kuda Kali mangrove system along the Pothuwil and Arugambe coasts has been destroyed in this manner. The land, which has been under the control of various individuals from time to time, is now in an unsafe condition. This is how plants in the mangrove system, a unique ecosystem, have been burnt. These racketeers have taken steps to erect fences to separate and grab lands belonging to the forest and the coast conservation departments. When police officers and officers attached to the Forest Conservation Department arrived at the location yesterday, an individual was already fencing a portion of the land. He was later arrested by the police.
The island-wide travel restriction was relaxed at 4 this morning.
The island-wide travel restriction was relaxed at 4 this morning. However, daily activities must be carried out according to guidelines issued by the Director General of Health on the 20th. When it comes to public transport, drivers, conductors and passengers must adhere to those health regulations. when functioning at state and privately owned workplaces. Those guidelines must be adhered to. Shops and supermarkets must also follow COVID-19 health guidelines. Supermarkets can only accommodate 25% of their customer capacity. Travel restrictions within provinces will continue. Only essential service providers can travel between provinces. Meanwhile, trade activities at economic centers were carried out this morning. Large amounts of vegetables were seen at the Katugastota Economic Center.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Lunchtime News on TV1. For details of these stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First, the voice of the people, I am Martin Satyanesan. You take care and stay safe.